reform. Ever since the Legal Aid Act was enacted, we have a problem. There has not been a progressive implementation of legal aid. In fact, DPP, recently you were looking at how we can bring in a public defender, even at the expense of the DPP, so that we put them in different courtrooms to assist the people who are not represented. So non-representation and lack of legal aid is affecting the people who are in pretrial detention. And finally, we're also concerned, as the office of the DPP, of the quality of the cases that we are taking to court. Are they cases that impact on the economy, security, public interest? In some instances, they are not. So we are talking about petty offenses. And the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions is looking at how we can declassify some offenses so that these people are not taken to court, are dealt with differently. And if we do this, we will reduce the number of people who are coming into the system. And finally, we also have classification of offenses. And this is one thing that the DPP had brought up in the NCAJ. Because of lack of classification of offenses, it is difficult for people to plead again because we are not sure of what they will get in return. So in a nutshell, this is what we are looking at. And finally, after All for Justice 2, we hope that we would be able to come up with something like summary offenses, which is equivalent of small claims court, so that very simple offenses can be dealt with quickly and in an informal way. So DPP, I hope I've articulated what we had in mind, and maybe in your speech we'll talk to it later. And finally, justice is about a process that is morally right, that is fair, that is respectful. We have come here with 50 prosecutors who will today go through your files and talk to you. And they'll be able to see what role are they playing in making sure that your being here is morally right, it is fair, it is respectful, and that you are getting what you ought to get from the criminal justice system. With those few remarks, I wish to thank everybody for honoring us, and I wish to thank you because you've listened to us, and I hope that you'll cooperate with us when we go through this exercise. Allow me, DPP, to say that I think we have to confess that we want to do this in all the prisons in Kenya. But of course, because of budgetary allocation, this is not possible. But DPP has assured me and everybody in our office that he will try as much as possible and get some resources so that we are able to visit all the prisons that are in this country so that we can decongest them. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam Dorcas. Let us appreciate. We have several guests here. Na tunatambua tuko na wageni, pamoja na wageni wetu wa heshima, lakini kwa sababu ya muda, they will be acknowledged. Tutawatambua wakiwa tunawapewa nafasi ya kuongea. Ama the chief guests will acknowledge them. I want to take this opportunity to again request Madam Dorcas. We have a very short presentation. I don't know whether our other guests can be able to see the screen. Wale wengine? Kuna screen huko, mnaiona vizuri? Ya, na ni presentation fupi sana, tutaiangalia. And then we will be able to give a chance to our guest, the chairman LSK, Mr. Eric Theuri, who will speak to us immediately after that. Thank you.
So apart from All for Justice 2, we are also launching today Malalamishi. All for Justice 2 is geared towards people who are in pretrial detention. But Kenyans are asking, and they ask the DPP, what about the people who are not in detention, would like their cases to be reviewed? So the office of the DPP has digitized the complaints department. Apart from digitizing, we have also digitalized the processes so that anybody who is out there who wants their cases to be reviewed for purposes of looking at how we made the decision to charge, maybe you want to plead again, you want your cases to be diverted, or you are saying there is insufficient evidence, you want us to relook at the file again, we have now come up with a system called Malalamishi. And this is open to all Kenyans of all cadre and in all cases, and it will be up and running today. So kindly look at your screens, and one of our officers is going to present this program. We can't hear you.
Hey, Saseni, my name is Abdallah, and I will be taking you through the case review and the complaint system. We also dubbed it the name Malalamishi. The main components of the system includes case review. We have complaints, and you will also be in a position to check the status of the complaints that you have submitted to the office. So we understand that one of the core missions of the ODPP is providing effective and efficient prosecution service to all. And in ensuring that transparency is observed, the system enables you to raise complaints through the system and check the status of the complaints that you have submitted in real time. So I will quickly take you through the system so that at the end of the day, you are in a position to understand how the system works and how to submit complaints and request for case reviews on the same. So when you navigate to the homepage, we have 3 components of the system. One includes the case review. We have complaints, and you can also okay, so this is the home page. You are in a position to see the request for a case review. This is whereby, for example, you still have a case that is ongoing or a closed case, and you feel like it deserves a review. You can simply come to the system and select request for case review. So under the request for case review, you can fill in your biodata, the case summary, and any additional information that will back up this case review here. You can as well attach PDF documents on that matter so that you are able to supply your case review with some strong information. We also have a part of raise complaints. I'll take you through the public portal. So under the case complaints, for the complaints, you are able to select the ODPP office. Let's say, for example, we'll just select headquarters, and you specify whether you've raised a complaint with the ODPP before. So if you've raised a complaint with the ODPP before, you will have to supply the complaint reference number. You are able to get the complaint reference number in real time. So at any given time, in case you need to check the status of your complaint, all you need is just the complaint reference number, and that suffices for you to know the status of your complaint. So under the complaint details, you just give a brief summary of your complaint. Let's say, for example, we can say, yes, that's an example of a complaint, and you give a background summary of this complaint here. You give more details here on the background of the complaint, and you specify the date, time, and the location where that event happened. Maybe, for instance, it happened in Nairobi. You can be in a position to select the cities there, and by default, you are a member of the public, and you specify whether you would like a response to your complaint. So this is where it gets interesting, because we find that some complainants, they want to submit complaints to the office, but they don't want their details to be known. So one can just decide to omit their contact details and submit the complaint as a whistleblower, for instance. But if they would like to get the status updates of that information, then they have to key in the contact details. Like, for example, let's say, And one can select their preferred method of contact. One can either use the phone number or email. I'm going to use my phone number so that we are able to check the complaint reference number. So once I've submitted this complaint, I will get a confirmation message in my phone with a complaint reference number telling me that I can now be in a position to check the status of my complaint from time to time. So in case you want to back up your complaint with an additional information, maybe it's a charge sheet, maybe it's any other information that can back up your complaint. So, okay, for this case, I don't want to add an attachment. Then you submit your complaint. So before you submit your complaint, it gives you an idea of what happens once you've submitted the complaint. So your complaint will be acknowledged and a reference number is assigned to you, and it will be sent to the relevant business area. And once it's completed, you'll get a notification on the same. So let me submit. So it says that your complaint has been submitted, and you'll be able to check the status of your complaint. So I have my phone with me here. So let me confirm in a second whether I'm in a position to get the complaint reference number. And we can confirm that indeed we've received the complaint reference number. So I'll read for you the message of the complaint reference number. Greetings, your complaint has been received. The following is the reference number, and you'll receive feedback within 14 days. Mashtaka yenye haki na usawa. So let's say, for example, after a week or so, you are curious and you want to understand what has happened to your complaint. You can simply key in the complaint reference number. And you'll be in a position to verify your identity first, because when you key in your complaint reference number, you have to verify that you are indeed the owner of this complaint. So an OTP will be sent to your phone so that you verify your identity, and then you are able to download the details of your complaint. So let me confirm my identity real quick here. Yeah, so once you've verified, you'll be able to download a copy of your complaint here. So let's just give it a few seconds, and we have the complaint file here. The complaint file is also protected with your complaint reference number. So let us apply our complaint reference number, and this is your complaint file now. It has a summary of all the information that you've keyed in. And from time to time, when our officers, they've updated the status of your complaint, you will be in a position to receive communications on the same, either on the PDF, either SMS or email. So that's it on the complaints, and it's the same process for the case reviews also, because we have individuals that when they have a need of when they need their case to be reviewed, you can also submit it on the system. You don't need to come physically to our offices. You simply need a phone and internet connection. So that's it for now. Thank you.
Asante sana Mr. Jilo. Mumeweza kuona hiyo system ambayo tumeweka, inaitwa Malalamishi, na itasaidia yule ambaye amepatikana kwa remand ama kwa njia yoyote kisheria na ungetaka kuregister malalamishi. Ningetaka kuchukua nafasi hii kumkaribisha mgeni wetu ambaye anasimamia Law Society of Kenya, Mr. Eric Deuri, tuongeleshe kwa machache. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The Director of Public Prosecutions, the representative of the PS, representatives of the Attorney General, all the commissioners who are present. Allow me, with tremendous humility to acknowledge all the invited guests. Good morning, all of you. Good morning, wateja wetu wa Remand. Mko salama? DPP, allow me, first of all, on behalf of myself and the Law Society, to congratulate you on the launch of this very, very innovative and important milestone in the criminal justice system, the launch of All for Justice, Phase 2, and the Malalamishi initiative that you have spearheaded by enabling those who have complaints to be able to bring them to your attention. And we commend you for these efforts, and more specifically for the recent efforts that have been undertaken by your department in the course of your leadership, including the decision to charge, the plea bargaining guidelines, the diversion guidelines, all geared towards ensuring that there is justice within the criminal justice system. We also note that despite all these commendable efforts, there have been gains that we have made, but we've also fallen short of the gains or the aspirations that we have set for ourselves. And so this gives us an opportunity to reflect on the things that we have done well, on the things that we've done not so well, and on the things that we need to improve to ensure that we are able to deal with the challenges that are posed to the Commissioner of Prisons here when the jails are full to the brim, and also to ask ourselves, what are we doing to ensure that now we move towards a prison system that is focused more on rehabilitation and restoration, and ensuring that those who are in prison actually are the only ones who deserve to be in prison. So on behalf of the Law Society, we want to give our commitment that we will work with you and all the relevant stakeholders to ensure that we are able to achieve these aspirations which we have set for ourselves. I want to say that I think it is a high time as a country we explored the need for pre-detention probation reports, because that will give us a greater understanding between the prosecutors, between the court and the defense on whether a suspect should be released on bond or should be detained. And so therefore there is a need to move away from the previous practice that we've had and adopt the more progressive proposals that will then ensure that the focus at the time of taking plea is whether the accused will appear in court or not, and the adoption of the least restrictive methods of granting bail and bond to ensure that we reduce the number of those who are held in pre-detention in prison. DPP, I want to also commend the efforts that you have started with regards to the classification of offenses, and it all points to the need for the entire justice system to focus on the urgent reforms that are required within the criminal justice system so that we can move and align ourselves to more progressive jurisdictions with regards to how they handle criminal cases. And also, this brings to focus the need for us to work together to change long-held attitudes about the criminal justice system, to talk to the Defense Council, in particular with regards to change of attitude, to adopt to adopt the measures that are there, plea bargaining, diversion, and of course we also understand. I know that most of you have had challenges when you have pro bono lawyers in terms of consultations. Sometimes you hardly get to talk to your pro bono lawyers, and this is something that we are working on. We are having a discussion to try and see whether we can set up a Zoom link that can be available and work with the prison administration, so that we can schedule Zoom links, so that those who have advocates who have clients, they can just know that at a particular time the clients would be on Zoom. They can come and meet them, have those discussions, because again, there are certain challenges that occur within our work, and that is something that we are looking at, and we hope that we can improve the consultation that you need to have with your pro bono lawyers. And I think that is a system that can also be used for those who are being held in remand and have advocates representing them, to ensure that there is smoother consultation. And that is something, Brigadier, will be coming to you once we crystallize that proposal. We try and see how we can ensure that we work on that. I think DPP, we also hope that eventually we can have a discussion on public defenders and how that can be implemented, so that we ensure that there is access and improved access to justice for all. So I asked to speak first because unfortunately I have to leave. There's a client of mine who is taking plea. in a few minutes, and my phone is almost blowing off because they are wondering where their advocate of choice is. And so I would want to ask with humility, DPP, that you allow me to leave. I would have wanted to be here because this is a project that is close to my heart. I would have wanted to be here for longer, but pressure of work and duty calls, so I will leave, but I will leave with our commitment that we will work together as we had agreed with the team that is working on justice for all. When the next programs are launched, we will ensure that our pro bono advocates are there to be able to give advice as the prosecutors are reviewing the files. There will be pro bono lawyers on the side to give advice to the client, so that we can all work together to ensure that we reduce the numbers in pre-trial detention. So thank you for inviting us as the Law Society. We pledge that we will continue working with you and working with all the players within this sector to improve on the criminal justice system. So I take this opportunity to wish all of you a wonderful day and a successful launch of the program. Asante sana.
Asante sana, Chairman, Law Society of Kenya. Kwa wageni wetu, Wakenya wenzangu, kwa yale mambo ambayo mumeelezwa, hata kuelezwa kama mjaelewa, tutapata nafasi baadaye kama maafisa wa mashtaka, tutaketi na nyinyi na tutaweza kuwaeleza zaidi. I want to take this opportunity to call upon our next speaker, who will speak on behalf of the civil society, Madam Renee Gamau, board member of Amnesty International. Karibu. We clap until she arrives. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Our chief guest, the DPP, Noordin Haji, Commissioner General Prisons, Brigadier Retired Warubia, SPP Dorcas Ador, and the DPs present, OIC, Officer in Charge, Nairobi Remand, together with your officers, all government agencies present, all members of civil society present, all partners present, distinguished guests, all protocols observed, good morning. And to our brothers behind bars, naomba niwasalimie, hamjambo. Mine is a very short brief. I am most honored to be here, not only as a member of Amnesty Kenya, but sitting now on the global board of Amnesty International, where one of the things that we are looking at, not just in Kenya but across the world, is the question of imprisonment and the penal code, and particularly imprisonment for non-violent petty offenses that relate more to poverty than they do to harm to society. COVID taught us one thing, that it is possible to decongest prisons without having an adverse effect on the society. And therefore, if we are to take a lesson from COVID, it is this, that numbers that are over 200% or even 50% are not necessary. There is something that is built within our system that we need to question again. We very much welcome these initiatives, as our position is that detention should not be punitive. That in fact it should be appropriate not only to the circumstances of the case, but appropriate to the circumstances of the person. Many of those who are in pre-detention trial and who are in detention pre-trial are in detention because they cannot afford the amounts of bail or bond that have been imposed upon them. Many of these without an appropriate assessment of the circumstances of the individual themselves. And so we welcome the ODPP's efforts to decongest by looking at who needs to be inside or behind bars and who can come or attend their trial either through Zoom or in person, and what can be put instead. We note that the effect of pre-trial detention has an effect far lasting beyond the period of detention. There's the problem that the LSK president has spoken to, access to justice. While behind bars, it is very difficult to access, even to communicate with one's lawyer. The time given for communication and the conditions for communication, including the use of technology. We thank the CGP for the allowance of the technology into the prisons. However, we note that it is nothing near what is needed in order for our almost 4,000 brothers in this single institution to have time to access their lawyers, time to access information that they require from the prosecution in order to prepare for their cases, and time to engage with their families. And let us not forget that one of the most important aspects of well-being and wellness is for them who are fathers, brothers, husbands, to be able to access their families and to ensure that their families are well. The loss of livelihood, the impact on family, and the stigma goes on well beyond the period of detention, even where acquittal follows, and this is an injustice. We welcome the review of the Prisons Act, and we note that there is a review that is aligned to the Mandela Rules and to the Model Prisons Act. We look forward to that review, supporting the efforts made by the ODPP and others to decongest prisons, and we look forward to this comprehensive review being passed by Parliament soon, making Kenya a model country for other countries to be able to follow on what is possible in terms of prison. We also make that a plea that a similar effort be made for those who are held in mental institutions. We know that their capacity is so much more reduced that sometimes they don't even know when their next case is. And unfortunately, if we made a spot check to our mental institutions where there are people who are held on criminal matters today, it is not unlikely that we will find persons who have been held for a year, 2 years, even more, not knowing when their next date for even appearance will be. And this indeed is a miscarriage of justice, inadvertent but very real. We welcome the efforts to declassify and reclassify offenses. There are offenses which today should no longer be in our statute books. And we welcome very much the efforts of the National Commission on the Administration of Justice to look at the penal code and ask the question, which laws served a pre-colonial or a colonial period that do not serve modern-day Kenya today and should be removed? Is loitering absolutely necessary? Is disorderly conduct absolutely necessary? I dare not answer the question. I leave it at asking. And finally, I want to speak to those who are here who are held, but are held so far away from their countries and are undergoing a trial in languages they do not understand. Nos frères qui viennent du Congo ou qui parlent le français or who speak other languages where they are confused, mesmerized, unable to mount any credible defense because being victims of human trafficking or having arrived here in other means, they are undergoing a trial in a foreign country in which they have no idea what they're going through. DPP, we ask that your office and other offices, including the judiciary, should pay special consideration to them and should avail to them not just systems like these, but the real assistance that will enable them to prosecute their matters and to set them free or to have them serve appropriate sentences for which they understand. We thank you and we congratulate you for your work today and look forward to seeing it in all the other prisons. Thank you very much. Na kwa mandugu zetu, twawaomba, tunajua kwamba mko kwenye shida, lakini twawaomba msaidiana na mwasiliane na ofisi ya ODPP, ndio wawezi kuangalia hizi kesi zenu. Wengi wenu mrudi nyumbani, na mkirudi, tafadhali, msirudie.
Asante sana, asante sana. Huo ni wimbo mtamu sana. Mkirudi, tuko pamoja. Our next speaker is Madam Roslyn Odede, Chairperson of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. And we shall continue to clap until she arrives at the podium. Hajafika.
Good morning, everyone. All protocols observed. Wangwana, hamujambo? Asanteni sana. Na furaha kubwa sana kuwa hapa na nyinyi leo kusherekea na mkurugenzi wa mashtaka. Naomba nianze kwa kuwapongeza sana kwa kuwezesha wananchi kuleta malalamishi yao kwa njia rahisi. Sisi kama tume ya kutetea haki ya binadamu za binadamu tumekuwa na wasiwasi sana. Tumekuwa na wasiwasi kuhusu namna kesi huwa zinakaa zikiwa kotini. Vile kesi zinachelewa. Si hata nyinyi mnajua ni hivyo? Nimewahi pata watu wamekaa remand kwa miaka hata zaidi ya miaka 8. Hiyo ni haki? Hata miaka 20. Na hiyo kweli ni haki? Sio haki jameni, sio haki wenzangu. Na wakati hiyo yote shida ni ya kwamba hujahukumiwa. Sie? Uko tu kwenye remand. Jameni wenzangu, hiyo ni haki? Wenzangu wa upande hii, hiyo ni haki? Sasa sisi kama kwa hivyo sisi kama tume ya kutetea haki za binadamu tunatumaini ya kwamba hii project ya ofisi ya mkurugenzi wa mashtaka italeta mabadiliko. Tunatumaini italeta mabadiliko, tukirudi tusipate remand imejaa hivi, watu waweze kukaa nyumbani, kesi ziishe kama ni kesi ya maana. Kesi zile ndogo ndogo haina maana mtu akae hapa akingojea kesi yake miaka na miaka. Tupate namna. So kwa hivyo tunaomba kesi zisikizwe haraka, watu wenye remand wapungue. Hii si haki kabisa. Ukiona Mandela rules inasema population ya prison kuna vile inatakikana, kuna namna watu wanatakana waishi wakiwa kwenye remand, na hizo haziko. Kwa hivyo bwana mkurugenzi, tunakupongea, tunakupa hongera kwako kubwa sana kuanzisha hii project. Lakini tunajiuliza pia, hao watu wakiwa hapa ndani watapataje hii mtandao ndili waweze kuweka hiyo mlalamishi? Tunatumaini mtashirikiana na wengine, njia ziwekwe ili wao wakiwa hapa wanaweza ingia kwenye mtandao waweke malalamishi yao ili zisikizwe. Tafadhali. Pia tunaomba hiyo mtandao iwekwe pia kwa lugha zingine, itafurishwe kwa lugha zingine ili wenzetu wote waweze kuipata. Kwa hivyo kwa sasa naona iko kwenye English, inaweza kuwa kwa lugha yangu Kijaluo ama kwa Kiswahili, wote waweze kuipata. Lakini hiyo yote, hongera sana, asanteni sana, na hii project iendelee. Asante.
Naona amewachangamsha kabisa. Sasa ningemuita mgeni mwingine, mnenaji Mr. Benson Shamala, Executive Director IJM, akuje atueleze machache. International Justice Mission, they have been very, very helpful in this process. They have supported us in a big way. So it's a pleasure to have them here on board. Please speak to us.
Thank you so much, our chief guest, the DPP, Mr. Nuruddin Haji, the retired general, and development partners, members of the civil society, the Kenya National Human Rights Commission, the Law Society of Kenya, and all our partners, together with our guests. Good morning. Today I'm so thrilled and happy for this launch of these two initiatives by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. As International Justice Mission, we are so excited because we know that the launch of this particular initiative will drive toward ensuring that people find justice, and that those that are in the system, that they will be given a chance to be able to review their cases and to ensure that there's fairness, so that those who do not deserve to be in prison or in pretrial detention are not serving in those pretrial detention. There is a lot of psychological trauma that goes on for people who do not deserve to be in pretrial detention. International Justice Mission over these past 20 years have been representing members of the public who find themselves innocently charged in the system. We have represented and successfully helped to get over 300 members of the public who are arrested and charged in circumstances that were not clear. And so this initiative to us is very critical, because many times we have been in these particular places talking to various clients, hearing their case and taking them on pro bono basis and supporting them through the criminal justice system so that they can be able to find justice. And we are happy also to have worked with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution as we supported the aspect of the decision to charge, and we applaud the initiatives that have continued to happen, including the decision to charge, the plea bargaining, the diversion method. All those are very, very critical to ensure that people who come through the criminal justice system get justice at the end of the day. But of course, the aspect of prolonged pretrial detention is something that we need to actively look at so that we can reduce the number of years, number of days that people have to stay in pretrial detention. And so we are also very happy to have worked with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution in All for Justice initiative of looking through the files and checking whether the right decisions were made and also how long the people have been in pretrial detention. So, Mr. DPP, I want to assure you, as International Justice Mission, we will first of all congratulate you on this initiative, and we look forward to supporting you to ensure that justice for all is realized. And so thank you, and God bless.
Asante sana kwa kuongea machache. Nitachukua fursa hii kumwalika Mr. Nicholas Kamwende ambaye ni representative wa DCI. Aje atueleze machache. Mnamjua? Mnamtambua? Ah? These people seem to know you.
The Director Public Prosecution and the designate nominee for Director General NIS, let me at the beginning congratulate you for your new nomination. All protocols observed. Allow me to express my director's congratulations for the launch of this application that allows members of public to make their complaint before, to be listened to before they end up here. Let me also say that this, we would like to borrow a leave of what you have done here so that we can hear complaints at our level before these prisoners come here. If we can listen to their complaints and ensure that we deal with those complaints before the prosecution process, then that will be what we wish to borrow from you. Let me also say that the DCI has a virtual system where we listen to complaints from members of public and also give us information on commission of crime. We would like to improve it so that we also encourage them to report cases where there is miscarriage of justice and prevent unnecessary prosecution. I am sure the Malalamishi application will improve the efficiency and effectiveness of administration of justice. We also recognize that we are the biggest contributors to our wananchi who are here. But we also wish to request the prisons authorities to ensure that when these Kenyans come here, they come back to the public reformed so that we can move forward. Would not wish that we continue committing crimes or facilitating crimes while we're in prison. That will make us have a better society. Allow me to associate myself with the comments that have been made by previous speakers. And I wish that this Malalamishi application program will go a long way to ensure that only those who deserve to be here are here. Thank you very much for inviting the DCI. Asante sana.
Saluted your friend. Thank you so much. Unaona wameachwa wakiuliza. Kuna jambo alikuwa aseme? Hiyo ameacha, basi labda atapata nafasi atawaeleza baadaye. So nachukua fursa hili sasa kumwalika Commissioner General Brigadier John Kibaso Warioba. Karibu sana.
Our chief guest this morning, the Director of Public Prosecution, Mr. Nurdin Haji, the representative of the Attorney General, my good friend Eric Deuri, the President of LSK, has just left, the Chairperson of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, Madam Rosalyn Odeda, the Executive Director of ICJ, the United States Department of Justice representative, the Director stroke CEO of the Witness Protection Agency, if she is around, or her representative, the Director Legal Resource Foundation, the Executive Director of IJM, all invited guests and partners in the criminal justice system. Good morning. Wananchi wenzangu na wageni wetu, habari zenu? Kila wakati mimi nakuja hapa nawaambia mimi napenda ninyi, because every time I come around I come with something good. The other day we were here, we were distributing mattresses and blankets. And today I've come with another team with the good news for you. So we love you people. We love you. That is why we frequent this place. May I take this opportunity to invite all of you to Nairobi Remand and Allocation Prison, and by extension to Kenya Prisons Service. I stand here as the Commissioner General of Prisons and also as the representative of the CS Interior and Coordination of National Government, who was invited to this function, but because of other exigencies, he was unable to attend. However, he is seized with the program, and he understands it, and is quite very excited. So with that, I start by saying I'm delighted to be here with you today during the launch of the All for Justice Project 2 and the Malalamishi system at Nairobi Remand and Allocation Prison. This launch is a successor to the first phase of All for Justice Remand Review implemented in 2018 with a focus of decongesting correctional facilities around the country. Kenya Prisons Service appreciates the critical role played by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the support from actors in the criminal justice sector in addressing the challenge of congestion in our facilities. Congestion overstretches our facilities, which compromises service delivery in the discharge of our mandate. This launch, indeed, is a step in the right direction. Reducing numbers in prisons will see an improvement in our services, especially rehabilitation of prisoners to prepare them for integration upon release. This launch comes at a time when we are witnessing an upsurge in prison population. As Kenya Prison Service, we remain committed to this cause and in supporting the key ODPP policies and expeditious case conclusion through employment of alternatives to prosecution. I'm aware the project comprises an online complaint system dubbed Malalamishi, which also caters for those in custody to request for review of their cases that are pending in courts. This noble initiative will greatly ease the service from the pressure of transporting mostly those awaiting trials for review of their cases. It will also quickly capture the attention of the ODPP and the judiciary of the cases which may have taken long. Cases will now be dispensed faster. The Director of Prosecution, I would wish to bring to your attention that as of today morning, We have about 25,000 of this category in our prisons nationally. And that is quite a big number. If you compare to the ones that we are holding as already convicted, it is almost on a 50-50% ratio. Once again, I wish to register special appreciation for this noble initiative. So I wish to thank each and every one of you, and may God bless each and every one of you. MC, please.
Now, our chief guest have been given this noble task with humility. I request that we be upstanding for the speech, the address by our chief guest. Because this is the moment, the greatest moment.
No, please sit. There's no need of that. It's awkward. And I apologize. Commissioner General of Prisons, Brigadier Retired John Warioba, Director of Criminal Investigations, Representative Mr. Kamwende, the President of the Law Society of Kenya was left, my friend Eric Theuri, the Chairperson of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, Ms. Roslyn Odede, the Director of the Witness Protection Agency, Representative, Amnesty International, Ms. Rene Gamau, the Executive Director of Amnesty International, Mr. Irun, the Director of the International Justice Mission, Mr. Benson Shamala, the Director of the Legal Resource Foundation, Mr. Lenson Jogu, the Executive Director of the International Commission of Jurists, Ms. Elsie Saina, representatives from the United States Department of Justice, Overseas Prosecutorial Development Assistance and Training Program, both Jody and Scott, representative from the United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It gives me great pleasure to launch All for Justice Remand Case Review Program, which builds upon the great success and progress that was achieved during the first phase in 2018. I'm honored to be amongst outstanding colleagues and partners as we reflect, reaffirm, and recommit to upholding the rule of law and respect for human rights in the administration of criminal justice. Allow me to extend my heartfelt appreciation to the Commissioner General of Prisons, Brigadier Warioba, for his invaluable partnership Pole. Mwangalia amefanyika nini? So he's epileptic, Pole. Maybe we give them a few minutes. Hapana, ngoja kwanza. Aya, nafikiria amehudumiwa. So allow me to extend my heartfelt appreciation to the Commissioner General of Prisons, General Brigadier Warioba, for your invaluable partnership as we launch the second phase of the All for Justice program. Ladies and gentlemen, alongside the All for Justice program, we are also proud to launch the Malalamishi complaint and case review system. This system was wholly developed internally by the ODPP ICT department and our young ICT officers, and I want to thank them for that. This system is a realization of the ODPP's commitment to inculcate transparency, professionalism, accountability, and integrity in our service delivery to Mwananchi. The system consists of two modules, the complaints management and case review management, that allows the public to provide feedback on matters handled by the ODPP, as well as to request for file review of cases pending before court. And this system is both in the digital format that we have just launched, we have it in a manual format, and also we have a call center that can be accessed, which we had launched much earlier. Pia, ninavyosema ni kwamba hii system ambayo tumeileta haiko kwa digital peke yake. Pia inaweza kupatikana kwa manual, yani unaweza kwenda mwenyewe ukaleta malalamishi, na pia tuna namba za simu ambazo zinaweza kupatikana. Lakini pia kama vile alivyosema dada yangu Odede mambo ya mtandao, si leo tumekuja hapa sisi wenyewe, na hiyo ndio mfano. Kama hakuna mtandao, sisi wenyewe tutakuja kuwatembelea na kuja kuangalia na hizo kesi. Lakini